Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Truth Podcast. My guest today is Briar Harvey, and she is an author, podcaster, and systems expert. She works with niche businesses to create sustainable business systems built around organic marketing and community building. She delights in telling stories and believes that systems are what allow people who have a problem to connect with a product or service that solves that problem. Not about inbox zero and making kittens cry. My guest today, Briar Harvey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I am so glad to be here today.
I'm glad to have you. I really am. This is going to be a fun.
I think this is going to be a good time.
I think so too, because we're both a little crazy. So, and this is my third one today. So yeah, I'm a little. My voice is going to die. I think that's going to happen. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I'll talk for both of us. Then it'll be fun.
You know, that might work for me. Okay, so my first question to everyone, my first question is going to be, where are you from? Because I'm trying to include that now.
I am in Omaha, Nebraska. I am from Colorado originally.
Oh, okay. So Mutual of Omaha. I'm just
yes.
Used to be a big thing, man. They had commercials all the time.
Mm-hmm. They're still there. Very big.
Oh, yeah.
One of the bigger buildings in town, honestly.
Oh, really? See, I didn't even know that because they don't really play them much here anymore. I'm in Michigan. So
yeah, I think it's when they need money, you know. Mutual of Omaha. Didn't they used to sponsor Wild Kingdom? I feel like that
Yes,
used
they
to be.
did. It was Wild Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so my second question actually is what lit the fire for you and what made you want to become an entrepreneur? Or was it always in you?
I think it was always there. I had a lemonade stand at 7 years old and I was pretty good at it. So I think that's true for a lot of us who really follow the entrepreneurial path, that we start young and we get bitten by the bug and then it just magnifies and gets bigger and bigger and bigger until we have no choice but to do the thing that we want to do. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. True for me too. I did some things when I was a kid. Had an idea for wrestling figures. It turned out I was 13 years old. It turned out it was a $6.5 million idea that Vince McMahon bought for WWE. It was WWF at the time.
At the time, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I was always trying to invent something or think something like that. And then when I got older, I just wanted to do online stuff, and that's what I'm doing now. So I'm pretty happy with where I'm at this point. So, but enough about me. I don't want to take up all the time because everybody knows me. So I'm sorry. My third question now, because I got the order wrong.
Got to change that numbering there.
Yeah, I might just leave the numbering system out of it because it doesn't make any sense anyway. It doesn't really matter. What I would say roadblocks, either internal or external, did you have to go through or are still going through on your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, you may be able to hear some of my biggest roadblocks because I live in a house with wood floors and the 2-year-old and the 8-year-old are apparently right above me doing God knows what.
Ooh, that's not a good thing.
2, 8, and then 18. Okay. My oldest is autistic, which when we were diagnosed 13 years ago was quite a thing for us. We did not have the support or services at the time that we have now, and we have a long way to go offering services for the autistic community still. At the time when we were diagnosed, they wanted to put her in a completely segregated public school. So it was all special education, 1 teacher, 2 parapros, 35 kids in a classroom, and we were living in Phoenix, Arizona, so more than half of those kids spoke English as a second language. At almost 6 years old, my daughter was not yet potty trained, and she was completely nonverbal. There was no way that I was going to be able to put her into that situation and expect that she was going to thrive. So we decided to homeschool, which has been, God, it's an adventure. I love my kids. I love seeing my kids every day. I love getting to see them learn. I also have to balance that with client calls, with client work, with client interactions, because I work entirely from home, and there's a lot of balancing that has to be done with that.
That must be difficult because of in a family situation when normally when people work at home, there's set boundaries and set times and stuff. But with
Mm-hmm.
a special needs child, that's a hard thing. That's a
Yeah, there's
hard thing.
no hard boundaries with time. And I mean, at 18, she is working her first job. She works 3 days a week with her dad in a grocery store doing product resets. And she might potentially be fully integrated enough that she will get her own apartment in the next decade. Maybe, maybe not. It's a tough one to say. And because we have these limitations, we've had to really design our life to accommodate her needs, to accommodate our other kids, to make sure that everybody's being fulfilled in some way, which is hard to do with a special needs kid because they demand a lot of attention.
That's true. And then the other kids are feeling like they don't get the attention.
Right.
So, there is a tough balance. Plus, you're working from home. So that's another
Right.
thing where it's like, wow, the balance has to
Mm-hmm.
be really tough for you. Do you let your clients know that? Do you tell them up
Oh,
front?
yeah. I'm very upfront with my clients that I work from home, that I have the kids here, that they may hear them. And honestly, it's a feature, right? It's
Right.
kind of, it's the joy of working with me. Most of my clients are parents, so they have their own interactions and know what that looks like. If they're not parents, they call me their weekly birth control session. I have several clients who actually refer to our calls in that method. Cracks me up. But they're obviously still doing the work with me. And I wouldn't be where I'm at without my kids, without homeschooling, without having to figure out what these systems look like, because that's how I learned, in the fire of,
Yeah.
having to figure
Yeah.
it out.
That's how you learn.
Mhm.
Okay. So we're going to get to the point now where we're going to find out what you do.
Oh, it's a windy road. So about 10 years ago, I first started online business selling massage oils and lubricants. They were hand blended, organic. They were really a lot of fun. But because it was lubricant, I was talking about sex a lot.
Right.
And my clients were like, why aren't you charging money for this? So I did. I started charging money for sex and relationship coaching. And I did that for about 5 years. It was, what year is it? It's 2019. So this would have been in 2014. I had my first 5-figure program launch all by myself. I was very proud of myself.
That's amazing. Good job.
Thank you. I was 36 weeks pregnant with my third child, and I was getting ready to offer this group coaching program called Sex and Life After Baby. And it was specifically for women in the postpartum period who'd had a baby and who needed to figure out how to get themselves back. And then I had a complete placental abruption, lost the baby, almost
Oh,
died, tanked
no.
my business, because I can't talk to women about their lives after baby when I don't have a baby of my own.
Wow.
So then I still had other kids and bills to pay. And so I started ghostwriting, because it was a thing that I could do to make money without having to be the face of something. And while I was ghostwriting, I got asked to create a couple of courses. So then I got into course design, and I've designed a number of pretty popular courses, but they don't have my name on it. And that bothered me. The other part of it was that there I was I had severe anemia. I lost a lot of blood.
Mhm.
And so just getting up in the morning and making my bed was pretty exhausting. So I had to really figure out ways to work around my circumstances. I had to figure out what my systems look like. I had to figure out ways to take care of my children and make sure everybody was eating and fed and still doing school, because all of that was going on too. And
Wow.
so, yeah, systems became my lifeline. Systems became the thing that saved me. And then after course design, I've been offering, so course design, funnel design, and now we do more on the back end. How do we figure out where the time is going and how do we take it back? There's a lot of things that we do systemically in our lives and in our business that require us to create rituals, habits, practices that we're doing over and over again. And when I talk about systems, most people are like, well, the tech, right? I'm like, no, not the tech. A system is a pattern of behavior that allows you to get from point A to point B without having to think about it.
Okay. And I think that that's vital, because I know in what I do, systems are something I have to do, because I started out just wanting to do this once a week, and I had plenty of people, and I was like, okay, this is going to go once a week. And then all of a sudden it started blowing up, and I had people all the time. And if I would have done this once a week, or there'd be people scheduled 6-7 months out right now. So I had to pivot and just basically every day one comes out now. And
Which
so you have to
is,
have systems to do that, because it's a lot to do.
yeah, it's totally overwhelming if you don't have a back end. What would we call that? Like automation system, really. You probably move everything in the exact same way.
Yes.
You set up your calls the same way, you set up interviews the same way.
Mm-hmm.
We all go through the same procedures, and then on your back end you do all the editing the same way, and then you process it and upload it the exact same way every single time, so that it doesn't take as much time. Batching can be helpful too, if we're batching and editing all at the same time and then
Yep.
uploading several at the same time. That
I do that.
makes, mhm.
I do that. And then systems to, I mean, getting guests. I have scripts that I have and I use, and I just formed a couple of new ones from a post I did in his Facebook group, which got me, I want to say 12 to 15 people that are coming on the show and that
Mhm.
booked with me.
Mhm.
So I had to
Probably the
adjust.
one I read.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. That it is the one you read. Yeah, yeah. And so I've only put one out because I get so many responses,
mhm.
and I was done after that. I'm like, wow, I pretty much got this whole month covered already, and it hasn't even started yet.
Well done.
Yeah, I have
We're not
5.
even we're not even to January.
Right. I had 3 today. I've got 5 on Saturday. So, I mean, I'm going to be putting stuff in the queue for a while. And then I think next week's booked, and the week after that is pretty close. And, I'm pretty close to having 31 days done already in this month.
Well done. And
Yeah, it's
that is the
crazy.
benefit of a cohesive system.
Yes. Yeah, I use Calendly
Mhm.
to book my stuff. I put in the dates and times I'm available. I let those people do that. It goes right to my Google Calendar. I have a media kit I send out so that people understand and know what I do. So that's pre-scripted. I have all that done. So it's just things that I do to make life easier. So it's just a copy and paste into an email, and copy and paste the email in, and, send it out. I can send one of those out in probably under a minute now.
Do you use Gmail?
Yes.
Set up snippets. So
What
that
is that?
Gmail snippets are, I believe they're one of the bonus extensions that you can turn on in Gmail, but it allows you to write pre-programmed stuff, so you can just click a couple of keys and it's already dropped in there for you.
Yeah, that might work too. This is just as, for me, it's just as simple because I have a
Copy
whole
and
thing.
pasting doesn't take too much time, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's, for me, it's really, really easy. I'm pretty proficient at stuff like that. So it's one doc and then copy paste. And when I had this situation, I think it was yesterday, day before, might have been yesterday. I don't know. I get my days mixed up now. But I had a whole bunch of people replying and having to get all these media kits out and having to get my Calendly link out. And that's all on the same page. I have a whole page of links and stuff that I send that I just copy and paste, boom, copy and paste, boom. It's all done. So that's what you're saying about systems. That's what I have,
You've got a lot for yourself, it sounds like. Well done, I say, because most people don't. Most people tell me that they would have these things, but it just takes too much time to figure out. Or they feel like there should be an easier way to do whatever this thing is that they're putting off, and so they just don't do it at all. Because again, it's not about the tech, it's about figuring out the methodology that works for you.
Absolutely. It's the system in place. And so it's like when I used to get guests, I would look at their profile, find if they, I think they're a good fit. And sometimes it's an energy thing. I just feel it's right. And I'll send them a little thing that I have pre-done, and if they respond that they're in favor of it, then I ask for an email so I can send the media kit. They do that, then we're to the next step of booking, and I have that pre-scripted as well. So it's a conversation, but yet and I tweak it to everybody, and I'll put in, something like, well, I see that you do this, and because I really do look, these are human beings. We can't just, copy paste all the time or do that.
There's a difference between creating a script and creating a template. And what you have is a template so that you can go in and edit it every single time and customize it. I do a lot of cold pitching myself because systems are the kind of thing that I have to see that you need it. Right? We're friends, we've worked together for a while, and now I can see that you are probably ready for my services. When that happens transactionally, it's not ever a copy pasted email. It is a, hey, I saw this post, or a, hey, you said this thing over here. Can I help you with this?
Yep. Yeah, that's what I have. I mean, right now, that's what I do. And it's like, as this evolves, and I've got a lot of other stuff I'm working on right now. So as it evolves, I'll probably get new things or whatever, but I have just a Google Doc, and it has all my stuff on it, even the Calendly link, my link to my show to subscribe, all that stuff is all in this one thing. And I just, go and highlight what I need and put it where I need it, and that's it. Instead of trying to go to YouTube and grab the link and then go to the thing, it's just so much harder to do when you've got everything on one page. You can just do it very quickly.
Yeah. Roadmaps, templates, they're all vital to your back end processes. Another one that I really recommend that people take the time to write down is your vision. What is it you want?
I got that too.
Excellent. Well done.
I do. I have that on a page, same page.
As you should. You should know what it is you want your business to be. You should know what that looks like today, where it is that you hope you're going. And I'm not talking about goals. I'm talking about who you are as a business, as a company, as an entity. And for most solopreneurs, that's a thing that they really struggle to define. But the sooner it's on paper, the more likely they are to be able to act on it.
Yeah. And I think Now, see, I have it's not a mission statement per se, but it is something that I have even in the media kit I send out, that there is that in there, that you have a little bit of an idea of what the mission is, or what I'm trying to accomplish and stuff like that with the show, so that people know. I like the way that's fashioned too, because that's just a copy and paste, but that's all the information you need.
Right.
And so we wrote all that down, I wrote down all the, the other stuff, but I think that what you're talking about might be a little different from what I have, because you're talking about maybe a plan to go from here to this, to this, to this. And I have that in my head, but I have not written it down. So I think that's a possibility.
Are different. Plans are different than vision, because a plan changes and can change instantly. If the plan is that you are a delivery driver and the car dies, you're going to have to get a different plan. But the vision of owning the next great delivery service can still coexist in that space.
Okay. I see the difference. So what is the one sticking point you see with your clients? What holds them back? Or if there is one, I mean, you could say several, but I'm just saying.
The biggest one is definitely thinking that they can manage systems, in particular systems, when I ask my clients a lot, do you expect your students to learn this thing in a week? Do you expect your clients to be able to take your teaching in an hour and then run with that? No? Well, why is it that you expect yourself to be able to go in and figure out project management when you have not been taught? Why is it that you expect yourself to be able to figure out how to create a funnel if you have never been taught? They say to me, and they say it regularly, I feel like I'm smarter than this. Well, you are, but not at this thing. The problem with systems is that on some basic level, it feels like something that we should just all innately know how to do, and that's not the case.
I can see that. And I had something in my eye. I don't know what that is about, but sorry about that, guys, but that's just beauty of live, whatever we're doing. No, I think that we as entrepreneurs especially, we believe we can do anything. But I think that I was in a group, and I think it was Carrie Veraggio that said that to emphasize your strengths and forget your weaknesses. And the reason she's saying that is outsource your weaknesses.
Exactly.
Because if you spend so much time on your weaknesses because you want them to become strengths, your strengths atrophy, and then you're kind of, I don't know, a mismatch or whatever. If you sit there and focus on your strengths and just plowing through what you know you're good at, your business will grow better. And then you outsource to people who are experts in that field, and then watch the collaboration, and then watch your business explode.
And for a lot of entrepreneurs at this level, a big problem that they have is not knowing what to outsource first. My honest recommendation is that if you are not yet making six figures, your only hire should be a virtual assistant. You should not hire anyone else until you have crossed the six-figure mark, because you don't know who you need. You don't know what you need, and you don't know how much time it takes to manage an employee. People really have a hard time understanding that when you delegate, you still have to manage that process.
Yes, exactly.
So you can't just hire all these employees and suddenly expect that you're going to have all of this free time if you haven't created and built the infrastructure for your employees to do the work on their own.
Right, like SOPs and stuff like that.
Right.
Standard operating procedures for people who don't know what that means. I think it's actually beneficial, like you said, to write everything out, every step that you do, because like I said, you hire a virtual assistant, and what are they going to do? That's the first thing that we ask. It's like, wow, I got this person that's going to be here like 20, 30 hours, maybe 40 hours a week. What are they going to be doing? Well, you have to figure that out and create a system to where they can understand it, that it's they understand what they're doing, how long they're supposed to be taking, those type of things.
Mm-hmm. If you are struggling in particular with your virtual assistant, I strongly recommend Naomi Dunford of ittybiz.com has what she calls plug and play, and she has one very specifically for virtual assistants. So you can go in and grab scripts that she has already written for you to ask your VA to do this specific task.
And hopefully we can put that link in. You should be able to see
if
I can get it. Okay. So we'll have that link down below, as well as your website and things like that. It's going to be below in the description, just so everybody knows. Just go down there and you can click on that to use that. But that's really good to have scripts and things that are ready for virtual assistants. I actually will probably look at that myself, to be honest.
One of the most important lessons that I can teach anyone about systems is that you should never reinvent the wheel. Somebody else has already figured this shit out for you, and they have already created the system. So you should borrow it, at least to begin with. I got this from a coach friend of mine who says that her 28-day habit building strategy is 2 weeks of trying the original system. Then you spend the third week tweaking it and making any changes that you might need to make to that. And then you spend the final week codifying your behavior. So 2 weeks doing it, 1 week optimizing, and then 1 week making it a routine or a ritual or an actual habit. And at the end of those 28 days, you actually really have a system that works for you. But don't make it up on your own to start with. Borrow somebody else's system first. They've already done the work.
Yeah, I'm failing at that because I'm making mine up as I go along. Yeah, I did. And I don't know, it's working for me so far, I guess, but it probably could be tweaked a little bit, I would imagine.
Well, and when you're at the stage where you've already done that work, it's fine. You've figured out what it is you need to do. But if you need a new system, go find somebody else's who has done the thing or written the planner or created the habits or whatever it is. Buy that program, do it for 2 weeks, then spend a week figuring out how to make it work for you.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So I was going to ask, so you build funnels for people. Is that what you're focused on now, though, or no?
Systems, funnels are systems, is the thing.
Right.
When we look at a funnel, it's big at top, it's small at the bottom, right? We are looking at drawing in as many leads as possible so that we can draw them down to the bottom where we will make the sale. My problem with that is that there are so many people that hop out of the funnel along the way. If you reverse that, if you think about your customer or your client first, then you can create systems in larger concentric rings that will build out from that. So rather than trying to attract leads, you're trying to attract your ideal client. And that sounds like a semantic difference, but it really is not. When I am trying to attract my ideal client, I'm creating programs, I'm creating services, I'm creating things that help us get to know each other and build a relationship. Mm-hmm. In that way, those circles go out. Like when you throw a stone in the water and you see those concentric rings, eventually they disappear into nothing. When you think of your client first, you're not concerned about those outer rings. You're concerned about the client and the relationship. And cultivating that relationship then is a system. How do we, excuse me, How do we find the things that allow us to build the relationship? What marketing tools or content building mechanisms are going to make us able to have that conversation?
That makes perfect sense. Makes a lot of sense to me. We have to find our ideal customer. And I think that's something some entrepreneurs actually struggle with, is finding that avatar and that person that is their ideal client, and not just to lump everybody together and hope something shakes out at the bottom. I can see that. I
Which
understand.
is not the same at all as niching. When we talk about niching, we're saying, hey, pick a lane. And I'm not a big fan of picking a lane. I do systems, I do funnels because they're interconnected. Personally, though, I also have a podcast about kids' movies.
Nice.
I love it.
Oh, that's cool. I did not know that until just now. That's cool.
I know. It's latchkeymovies.com. That'll be in the show notes too.
That will also be in the show notes. Latchkey. Did you say that? Say that one more time.
Latchkey Movies.
That's cool.
The
That's
podcast
really cool.
where we talk about the movies your kids are watching without your supervision.
Oh. That could be really interesting.
And it's a passion project. It's, it's something that I do for fun. But if I believed in niching down, I never would have opted into that, because it doesn't
fit.
On paper fit, except for the fact that I have had clients come to me and say, I heard your podcast, I loved listening to you, and then I checked out your website, and now I'm here.
That's cool. No, that's really cool. I mean, I had a Detroit Lions one that I was doing for a while, but it just kind of became complaining.
Oh, you're a Lions fan. Yeah, I can see how that would be a descent into sadness.
Yeah. You had like 75 episodes and stuff, and I got a couple I really do need to upload and stuff, but it's just a mind-numbing thing right now, to where we just keep talking about the same things every year.
I am a Broncos fan, a long-time Broncos fan.
Yeah, you beat us this year.
So I can feel your pain very personally on a yes. I lived through the 80s and
but you won with Peyton Manning. You won with John Elway.
We won a couple of times. You have
never ever. We haven't even won our division. 26, 27 years. We've never won the NFC.
Detroit. Poor Detroit.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, that has nothing to do with what we're doing.
Nothing with anything at all. But that's why I say niching is not necessarily the way that you want to go, because you have developed your network personally with that podcast. Even if it's not directly benefiting you at this time, it built your network out. And when we're thinking about servicing our customers, servicing our clients, and getting to know people that we care about, that's the first step, is creating a network of people that we want to work with.
That makes sense. I mean, Russell Brunson has Clickfunnels, and that's really, really popular. What's the difference between what you do and what he does?
I like Clickfunnels as a service. I do not use it. I also typically don't use Kajabi. I will set people up with Kartra because I find it to be a little less aggressive. It comes down to the conversation. I can create a set of emails that go to you that enable us to have a conversation without making you feel like I only care about your money. I can drive you to have a conversation with me so that at the end of it, you ask, how can we work together?
That's an amazing skill right there.
I don't want to work with people who feel like they have to work with me. I definitely don't want to work with people who feel like they have to go into debt to work with me. That kind of energy does not work for me. And I feel like if more people focused on that actual exchange of how to help their customer, they would have more of them.
Hmm. Wow. So, I don't know if I want to ask that or not. So when you're doing your thing versus like the automated stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's just that you're getting a lot more personal, correct? Or is it
Yes,
just totally different? I'm
it's
trying to get the
it's yes and no. So an email sequence in Clickfunnels or Kajabi or even in something like ConvertKit is designed to lead a person from point A to point B. And the way the logic is set up is that if they don't click a link, if they don't open an email, we trigger them into a different conversation, right? That's supposed to be how we increase our conversion rates and increase the number of customers we have overall. Except that if you look at people who are using those very aggressive funnels, they're not actually converting at the rate that they want to, and they're ending up in spam. I think something like industry-wide, we look at an average of 25% open rates, a 1 to 2% click-through rate, a 1% conversion rate. That's terrible. How is it that you only want to talk to a quarter of your people at one point in time? If you're on my list, I want you to be opening my email. I want that to be an engaged communication. My average from my list, which is not large, is about 80%.
whoa. That blows people out of the water. Say that again.
My average open rate for my list, which is very small, is about 80%.
So what in turn, what is your conversion rate, if I
Oh,
might
about
ask?
5%.
It's a lot better than one.
Mhm.
It's a lot better than one. So your question, you're
But that's my list personally. I can achieve similar results for clients, but I don't ever guarantee that because you have to be willing to continue the conversation. Email, in fact, is one of my most vital communications. So I send out usually bi-weekly newsletters on Saturdays. It's a roundup style. And usually I get at least 5 responses from people with just some kind of commentary about what I have written, and then I respond back, right? There's actual communication happening, which means that they want to open my emails because they want to read what I've written.
so for those of us that for those of the audience that don't know, what is a roundup?
So
What does that mean?
a roundup is the name of a newsletter where you specifically have like links. So I will often share the things that I have read this week or the books that I am reading, any media that I have consumed this week. I will talk about music that I'm listening to or shows that I'm watching, podcasts I'm listening to. And I do all of this without selling my stuff. There's, a couple notes at the beginning, hey, I published a new thing, or hey, I'm working on a new thing, but that's it. The majority of my newsletter is not for me to sell. It is for my readers to interact and engage with me.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that people out there understood what that meant, like me. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, because I didn't know either. So I always say I don't try to hide away from that stuff. If I don't know something, I'm just gonna say it. I don't know. So, but I appreciate you clarifying that. Um, do you go client by client basis on pricing, or do you have a set price and that's it?
I do quotes for my higher end stuff, but I do have an entry level offer of $1,000 where for 90 minutes where I walk you through mapping out your funnel so that you can see what it is that you are creating in terms of leads and products or services, and where you are missing the conversation with those people.
Wow. You can do that in 90 minutes?
Yeah, I can do that in 90 minutes.
Woo. So you're not building the funnel though in 90 minutes,
but I
are
am
you?
not building the funnel in 90 minutes. In 90 minutes, I'm telling you what the funnel looks like and what you should be doing for the next couple of months to fill in those holes.
Okay.
If you want me to do the work for you, that's when we have a quote.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I'm liking what you're doing. I think that it's a valuable service because there's so many of us that want to make it online that don't want to be in the 9 to 5 any longer. And you know, it is a jungle out there at this point. I mean, I think that there are a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to put something out there and it's going to sell and everything's going to be great, but it doesn't happen.
Well, because the gurus have told them that is what's going to happen. They have told them that if you buy my $2,000 program talking about this thing, that I will teach you how to do this. The problem is that most of those $2,000 programs teach you how I got to teaching you this $2,000 program. I don't have a problem with other people's systems. I steal them freely. I have a problem with you telling me that your system is the only way. And I have a problem with you insisting that there is no other way. And I think that in particular, Clickfunnels and those kinds of funnel designers make it so that that's the only way. And at the end, are you grateful or are you harangued into buying the product? I can't tell.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like that idea. I really, really do. Because, you know, I mean, it is about people when you come right down to it. And for me, I've very transparent about things. It's just very transparent. But the other thing that I believe that I don't know where you're at on, and I will ask you after I get done with this little thing here. I believe that everyone resonates at a different frequency, and that the people that I serve or that resonate with me may not be the same people that you serve and resonate with you. So just because someone else has a program out there, it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone can do it, or everyone,
or that it's a bad program. And I wanted to. I'm not talking down to anyone's $3,000 or $2,000 program. It's just not necessarily the right one for you. Just like project management software, there's Asana, there's Trello. I personally use Notion. There's a dozen other systems that I haven't even talked about, and we're not even getting to paper yet. So when it comes to project management, you really have to pick the system that works functionally for you. And that's not going to be the same system as everyone else's.
No, it won't, because you're not doing the same things.
Right.
Like you're not trying to get guests for, well, maybe you are. I don't know. Yeah, you're
not as many as you
show. You know, you're not trying to do that. So that's something that I need to have, you know, this keep going. And so I've set up systems that make that possible. You know, and that's not necessarily what you're going to need, you know. So we're all different. We all have a different offering. We all have a different kind of inner genius that we have to offer everyone else. And I think that everybody's unique. Everybody has a different perspective, I think. But I think that our energy, though, does attract like people and like-minded people and people that we want to work with, and we want to have relationships with, as you said, and that type of thing. And that's why I'm very, it's not, I guess I can't say anti, but I think I'm a lot against competition rather than collaboration, because I think that that most people that you resonate with, that you're saying vibe and stuff like that will be your customer. And like you may vibe with a totally different group of people than I do, you know, so that makes it possible for all of us to succeed, I guess is what I'm saying.
Look, there's how many billions of people in the world? What are we, almost at 8 now?
Yeah.
Everyone has a customer. Everyone has a group of customers, and there's more than enough for everyone. And when we lift each other up, we are much more likely to achieve those results.
I totally agree with that. I really do. I mean, I've had a lot of things happen for me because of doing this. And, you know, it's just something where I meet people and they're really good people. And I've been blessed to have really good hearted people on the show, people that have been through some stuff, people that have had, you know, some trauma in their life even, but that makes us softer hearted for other people, I think.
One of the things that I am working on personally, mindset wise, in 2020 is changing my win conditions. So as an entrepreneur, I really like being able to make money. I like making the sale. I like the endorphins that come from that. But I also meet a lot of incredible people, and I have done a lot of incredible work. So this year, what I am working on is trying to shift my win conditions. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to say that it wasn't just a sale that was the win, it was the connection, it was the podcast interview, so this is a win for me today here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that it's important for us to be able to figure out what our mindset weaknesses are and then do that work.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that we do that better in community. I
I
think
agree with that.
I would not have identified this without a coach of mine saying to me, you realize that these categories in your system set you up for failure, right? You realize that when you are sorting people into closed, you never contact that person again. And I went, no, I do not.
Mm.
And that's not how I want to be in relationship with people.
Right. Because you don't want to close people.
Right. The account may be closed. They may not currently be a client, but in fact, I'm renewing my vows in September of 2020, and most of the people on my side of the aisle are past and present clients. So those people aren't closed, but I have to figure out what that looks like in my mindset, what the win condition is for somebody that I am not currently working with, and how I create and continue that relationship.
I think the win is the energy between the two, the energy exchange, the
Ooh, I like
exchange
that.
of, you know, maybe a feeling or a idea that you didn't have before because of this person,
Mm-hmm.
or a system failure that you
Right.
discovered because of this person.
Right.
We can look at it. We can look at our failures in a lot of different ways. And I think that sometimes we look at not getting the quote unquote win as a failure, whereas it's an opportunity for us to learn and tweak that system to make it better.
Right.
And so maybe your win is, maybe your win with some of the people that you have closed is to maybe have an exit interview or some type of a thing like that, where you can find out, well, you know, what was the reason, or what happened, or, you know, what do you think? And then just I'm not pushing you to buy anything. I just want to know.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
For my people, mostly we close work on good terms because the work is done.
Okay.
But there is absolutely the continuation of a relationship. It's a continuation of how my work has affected them, how working with them has affected me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the tapestry of life that we're all in. That's an important thing to try and be aware of. It's a difficult thing to monitor.
It is a difficult thing to monitor, but I know that I value the people that I've interviewed, and the people that are in my group, and the people that I try to talk to. A lot of them, you know, not all the time, because you just can't. You don't have time for that, but you have to. And I don't even have a system to that, to be honest. I just think about somebody and I send them a little message and see how they're doing and what's going on with them right now, and forging friendships that I didn't have before. And those are so valuable, because when you get the outside perspective on what you're doing,
Right.
from various people that are entrepreneurs, that are successful, or they're in the same position you are, but they can see differently than you do. They see from an outside perspective, and I think that's valuable too.
Yeah. The more people that you can talk to who don't see things the same way you do, the more likely you are to be able to broaden your own horizons.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Well, it's been a good talk today.
Yeah, this has been great.
Let me see. I want you to tell the audience what you're doing currently, if you have anything out there to offer, or if floor is yours for that, and then we'll have all the links down below.
I actually, since it's almost January, do have room for some funnel mapping of the 90-minute $1,000 program.
Okay.
I have 3 of those in January. They tend to go pretty quickly. So we can put a scheduling link below.
Yeah, you have a Calendly thing or something like that. We'll put
Acuity is my thing,
Acuity.
But yes.
Hey, I never heard of that before. You should have a whole thing of tips and tricks and tools and stuff.
So I'm actually launching my YouTube channel in the middle of January.
Oh, awesome.
I'm doing project management interviews with people, talking about what their systems are and what they're using, and then
I like that.
Do some short little how to set up a system. I think I'm tentatively calling it system steps. There are because there are so many ways that you can do it. So here's a little chunk and this part of it, and then we'll move it on to the next little chunk and then the next little chunk.
I like that.
Because I want people to be able to pick and choose.
That makes sense. Well, it's been a wonderful show. I appreciate you being on. It was a good conversation. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with today?
Don't make kittens cry.
Please don't make kittens cry. Bad people. I'm just kidding.
This has been so wonderful, Jim. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's been a very good time. I appreciate everybody out there. Please hit the subscribe button and the bell thing that I don't care what it does, but you can hit that too. And I really appreciate it. And go down to the links below. There's only 3 spots, so you got to get one of them. All right. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll see you next time.